Most Holy Trinity, I plunge myself in the divine will, and with your own infinite love, I thank you on behalf of all for your immeasurable generosity towards your people Israel. I dissolve myself within the heart of Mary and echo her grateful song of praise as you pour out ceaseless blessings upon your littlest children, raising up the lowly from the dust and seating them among princes. I follow you, divine will, as a certain man named Elkanah from the hill country of Ephraim had 2 wives, Hannah, who was barren, and Peninnah, who had children. She would frequently provoke Hannah sorely because the Lord had closed her womb. One day, as she had traveled with her husband and Peninnah to make the yearly sacrifice in the temple, Hannah tearfully made a vow to you, God, saying, O Lord of hosts, if thou wilt indeed look on the affliction of thy maidservant and remember me, and not forget me, but will give me a son, then I will give him to the Lord all the days of his life, and no razor shall touch his head. As she continued praying before the Lord, Eli the priest observed her mouth. Hannah was speaking in her heart, only her lips moved, and her voice was not heard. Therefore Eli took her to be a drunken woman, and he said to her, How long will you be drunken? Put away your wine from you. But Hannah answered, No, my lord, I am a woman sorely troubled. I have drunk neither wine nor strong drink, but I have been pouring out my soul before the Lord. Do not regard your maidservant as a base woman, for all along I have been speaking out of my great anxiety and vexation. Then Eli answered, Go in peace, and the God of Israel grant your petition which you have made to him. Early in the morning, Hannah, her husband, and Peninnah worshipped before the Lord in the temple, and they went back to their house at Ramah. In due time the Lord remembered Hannah, and she conceived and bore a son, and she called his name Samuel, for she said, I have asked him of the Lord. She kept him with her until he had been weaned. I praise and thank you, Most Holy Trinity, in the moment in which Hannah brought her young son Samuel to live in the temple, fulfilling her vow and offering him to you as a servant, and Eli the priest received him and took him under his wing. I love you with your own love, my God, in the thanksgiving song Hannah sang to you, as she gave you her dearly beloved son, saying, My heart exults in the Lord, my strength is exalted in the Lord. My mouth derides my enemies, because I rejoice in thy salvation. There is none holy like the Lord, there is none besides thee, there is no rock like our God. Talk no more so very proudly, let not arrogance come from your mouth, for the Lord is a God of knowledge, and by him actions are weighed. The bows of the mighty are broken, but the feeble gird on strength. Those who were full have hired themselves out for bread, but those who were hungry have ceased to hunger. The barren have borne 7, but she who has many children is forlorn. The Lord kills and brings to life. He brings down to Sheol and raises up. The Lord makes poor and makes rich. He brings low, he also exalts. He raises up the poor from the dust, and he lifts the needy from the ash heap, to make them sit with princes and inherit a seat of honor. For the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and on them he has set the world. He will guard the feet of his faithful ones, but the wicked shall be cut off in darkness, for not by might shall a man prevail. The adversaries of the Lord shall be broken to pieces. Against them he will thunder in heaven. The Lord will judge the ends of the earth. He will give strength to his king and exalt the power of his anointed. I love you with all my heart, Most Holy Trinity, and I give you the glory as if all souls had loved you with generosity and a grateful spirit, as the young Samuel ministered to you in the presence of Eli the priest. And every year Hannah and her husband would return to the temple to offer sacrifice and to bring to Samuel a new little robe. I praise your generosity, my God, as Eli would pray blessing over Hannah every year, beseeching that you would give her more children in return for the sacrifice she made you. So Hannah conceived and bore 3 more sons and 2 daughters. And Samuel the boy grew in dignity before God and before men. Now, the 2 sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, both priests, were worthless men. They had no regard for you, Lord, and they abused their priestly office, stealing sacrificed meat and sleeping with women who served at the entrance to the tent of meeting. When Eli, now an old man, heard what his sons were doing, he warned them to repent, but they would not listen to the voice of their father. Despite the fact that they did not listen and continued to do evil in the sight of the Lord, the high priest Eli did nothing to stop them. So a prophet was sent to Eli to rebuke him and let him know of the Lord's punishment. Because Eli had esteemed his sons and given them priority above the Lord, his 2 sons would both die on the same day. It was also prophesied that every man in Eli's bloodline would die young, and his line would eventually lose the high priesthood. But the prophet also told him that the Lord would raise up for himself a faithful priest who would serve him forever. I follow you, divine will, as the boy Samuel was ministering to you under Eli, and in those days the word of the Lord was rare. There was no frequent vision. One night, Eli, whose eyesight had begun to grow dim, was sleeping down in his own place within the temple of the Lord where the Ark of the Covenant was. The lamp of God had not yet gone out when the Lord called out, "Samuel, Samuel." The boy said, "Here I am," and he ran to Eli, saying, "Here I am, for you called me." But Eli said, "I did not call, lie down again." So he went and lay down. Then the Lord called again, "Samuel." So he arose and went to Eli and said, "Here I am, for you called me." But he said, "I did not call, my son, lie down again." And the Lord called Samuel again the 3rd time. So he arose and went to Eli once more and said, "Here I am, for you called me." This time Eli perceived that the Lord was calling the boy. Therefore he said to Samuel, "Go, lie down, and if he calls you again, say, 'Speak, Lord, for thy servant is listening.'" So Samuel went and lay down in his place. And the Lord came and stood forth, calling as at other times, "Samuel, Samuel." So the boy said, "Speak, for thy servant is listening." Then the Lord said to Samuel, "Behold, I am about to do a thing in Israel at which the 2 ears of everyone that hears it will tingle. On that day I will fulfill against Eli all that I have spoken concerning his house from beginning to end. And I tell him that I am about to punish his house forever for the iniquity which he knew, because his sons were blaspheming God and he did not restrain them. Therefore, I swear to the house of Eli that the iniquity of Eli's house shall not be expiated by sacrifice or offering forever." After receiving this message, Samuel lay until morning. Then he opened the doors of the house of the Lord, and he was afraid to tell the vision to Eli. But Eli called him and said, "Samuel, my son, what was it that he told you? Do not hide it from me." So Samuel told him everything and hid nothing from him. Eli confirmed it, saying, "It is the Lord. Let him do what seems good to him." So Samuel grew, and the Lord was with him. And it came to be known in all of Israel that he was a prophet of the Lord. I follow you, divine will, as Israel went out to battle against the Philistines one day. But as they began to lose, they complained against you, saying, "Why has the Lord put us to rout today before the Philistines?" And they sent for the Ark of the Covenant to be brought up from Shiloh, treating it like a good luck charm and presuming victory. Eli's sons, Hophni and Phinehas, were among the men who brought the Ark of the Covenant up to the battle. Because Israel had been unfaithful, the Philistines easily captured the Ark and slew 30,000 men, among whom were Hophni and Phinehas. Now a man of Benjamin ran from the battle line and came to Shiloh with his clothes rent and with earth upon his head. When he arrived, Eli was sitting upon his seat by the road watching, for his heart trembled for the Ark of God. When the man came into the city and told the news, all the city cried out. And when Eli heard the sound of the outcry, he said, "What is this uproar?" Then the man hastened and came to Eli, saying, "Israel has fled before the Philistines, and there has also been a great slaughter among the people. Your 2 sons also, Hophni and Phinehas, are dead, and the Ark of God has been captured." When Eli heard mentioned the Ark of God, he fell over backward from his seat by the side of the gate, and his neck was broken, and he died, for he was an old man and heavy. He had judged Israel 40 years. Now his daughter-in-law, the wife of Phinehas, was with child, about to give birth. And when she heard the tidings that the ark of God was captured, and that her father-in-law and her husband were dead, she bowed and gave birth, for her pains suddenly came upon her. She named the child Ichabod, saying, "The glory has departed from Israel, for the ark of God has been captured." Then she died of grief. I follow you, divine will, as the Philistines who captured the ark of God took it and brought it into the house of their false god Dagon. When the people of Ashdod rose early the next day, behold, the statue of Dagon had fallen face downward on the ground before the ark of the Lord. So they took Dagon and put him back in his place. But when they rose early on the next morning, behold, Dagon had fallen again face downward on the ground before the ark of the Lord, and the head of Dagon and both his hands were lying cut off upon the threshold. Only the trunk of Dagon was left to him. This is why the priests of Dagon and all who enter his temple superstitiously do not tread upon the threshold of Dagon in Ashdod to this day. As long as the Ark of the Covenant was in their possession, the hand of the Lord was heavy upon the people of Ashdod, and he terrified and afflicted them with tumors. So the men of the region said among themselves, "The ark of the God of Israel must not remain with us, for his hand is heavy upon us and upon Dagon our God." So they sent and gathered together all the lords of the Philistines and said, "What shall we do with the ark of the God of Israel?" They answered, "Let it be brought around to Gath." So they brought the ark of the God of Israel there. But after they had brought it around, the hand of the Lord was against the city, causing a very great panic. And he afflicted the men of the city, both young and old, so that tumors broke out upon them. The ark of the Lord remained with the Philistines for 7 months. They consulted among their priests about what they should do with it. Ultimately, it was decided that the Ark of the Covenant should be brought back to the Israelites and returned along with burnt offerings to appease God's wrath. Now the Israelites of Beth Shemesh were reaping the harvest in the field when the ark of the Lord was returned to them. They lifted up their eyes and rejoiced to see it. The cart came and stopped in the field of a man named Joshua. A great stone was there in the field, and they split up the wood of the cart and offered the cows as a burnt offering to the Lord. Then the Levites took down the ark of the Lord and the box that was beside it, in which there were the golden figures, and set them upon the great stone. And when the 5 lords of the Philistines saw that the sacrifices had been made, they returned that day to Ekron. But on that day 70 Israelites from Beth Shemesh looked into the ark of the Lord, which was strictly forbidden. So God slew them, and the people mourned, saying, "Who is able to stand before the Lord, this holy God?" So they sent messengers to Kiriath-Jearim, beseeching them to come up and take the ark of the Lord. So the men from the region came and took the ark, settling it on to the house of a man named Abinadab on the hill. And they consecrated his son Eleazar to have charge of the ark, not to be a priest, but to guard it from danger. The ark remained in Abinadab's house for 20 years. I glorify you, most holy Trinity, as Samuel judges Israel during this time, saying to them, "If you are returning to the Lord with all your heart, then put away the foreign gods from among you, and direct your heart to the Lord and serve him only, and he will deliver you out of the hand of the Philistines." So Israel did so. They rid themselves of the false gods among them and served the Lord only. I love you, my God, in the act in which Samuel interceded for the people at Mizpah, fasting, drawing out water, and pouring it out before you, Lord, saying, "We have sinned against the Lord." When the Philistines heard that Israel was encamped at Mizpah, they came upon them to attack. So Samuel offered a lamb as a burnt offering to you, Lord, and your voice thundered from the heavens mightily against the Philistines, sending them into a confusion, so that Israel was able to smite them. I praise and thank you, my God, in the memorial stone Samuel put up between Mizpah and Jeshanah that day, calling its name Ebenezer, saying, "Hitherto the Lord has helped us." Thus the Philistines wrestled subdued before Israel for all the days of Samuel's life. Now, when Samuel became old, he made his 2 sons, Joel and Abijah, judges over Israel in Beersheba. But his sons did not walk in his ways and turned aside after gain. They took bribes and perverted justice. So all the elders of Israel gathered together and came to Samuel at Ramah, saying, Behold, you are old, and your sons do not walk in your ways. So appoint for us a king to govern us like all the other nations. But it displeased Samuel when they said, Give us a king to govern us. So he prayed to the Lord, who told him, Hearken to the voice of the people in all that they say to you. For they have not rejected you, but they have rejected me from being king over them. According to all the deeds which they have done to me from the day I brought them up out of Egypt, even to this day, forsaking me and serving other gods, so they are also doing to you. Now then, hearken to their voice, only you shall solemnly warn them and show them the ways of the king who shall reign over them. So Samuel told all the words of the Lord to the people who were asking a king from him. He said, These will be the ways of the king who will reign over you. He will take your sons and appoint them to his chariots. He will take your daughters to be perfumers and cooks and bakers. He will take the best of your fields and vineyards and olive orchards and give them to his servants. He will take the 10th of your flocks, and you shall be his slaves. And on that day you will cry out because of your king whom you have chosen for yourselves. But the Lord will not answer you in that day. But the people refused to listen to the voice of Samuel, and they said, No, but we will have a king over us, that we may also be like all the other nations, and that our king may govern us and go out before us and fight our battles. When Samuel heard all the words of the people, he repeated them in the ears of the Lord. And the Lord said to Samuel, Hearken to their voice and make them a king. Now there was a man of Benjamin whose name was Kish, and he had a son named Saul, the most handsome and tall man in all of Israel. One day all of Kish's donkeys went missing, so he sent his son Saul with a servant to go out and look for them. As they were about to turn back home with no luck, the servant suggested that they go to the land of Zuph, for he had heard that a man of God, Samuel the prophet, was in town nearby where they were, and he thought that perhaps he would be able to help them. So Saul and his servant went up the hill to the city. There they met young maidens coming out to draw water, and they said to them, Is the seer here? They answered, He is. Behold, he is just ahead of you. He has come just now to the city because the people have a sacrifice today on the high place. As soon as you enter the city, you will find him before he goes up to the high place to eat, for the people will not eat till he comes, since he must bless the sacrifice. Afterward, those eat who are invited. Now go up, for you will meet him immediately. Now the day before Saul came, the Lord had revealed to Samuel, Tomorrow about this time I will send you a man from the land of Benjamin, and you shall anoint him to be prince over my people Israel. He shall save my people from the hand of Philistines, for I have seen the affliction of my people. When Samuel saw Saul approaching him, the Lord told him, Here is the man of whom I spoke to you. Then Saul approached Samuel in the gate and said, Tell me, where is the house of the seer? Samuel answered Saul, I am the seer. Go up before me to the high place, for today you shall eat with me. As for your asses that were lost 3 days ago, do not set your mind on them, for they have been found. And for whom is all that is desirable in Israel? Is it not for you and for all your father's house? Saul answered, Am I not a Benjamite, from the least of the tribes of Israel? And is not my family the humblest of all the families of the tribes of Benjamin? Why then have you spoken to me in this way? Then Samuel took Saul and his servant, and brought them into the hall, and gave them a place at the head of those who had been invited, who were about 30 people. And Samuel said to the cook, Bring the portion I gave you, of which I said to you, Put it aside. So the cook took up the leg and the upper portion, and set them before Saul. And Samuel said, See, what was kept is set before you. Eat, because it was kept for you until the hour appointed, that you might eat with the guests. So Saul ate with Samuel that day. After the meal, they came down from the high place and back into the city, where Samuel had prepared a bed for Saul upon his roof to sleep on. Early in the morning Samuel came and woke him, and then walked with him along the way. He bade him to make his servant pass on before them, so that Samuel could make known to Saul the word of God in private. When they were alone, Samuel took a vial of oil and poured it upon Saul's head, and kissed him, saying, "Has not the Lord anointed you to be prince over his people Israel? And you shall reign over the people of the Lord, and you will save them from the hand of their enemies round about. And this shall be the sign to you that the Lord has anointed you to be prince over his heritage. When you depart from me today, you will meet 2 men by Rachel's tomb in the territory of Benjamin and Zelzah, and they will say to you, 'The asses which you went to seek are found.' And now your father has ceased to care about the asses and is anxious about you, saying, 'What shall I do about my son?' Then you shall go on from there further and come to the oak of Tabor. 3 men going up to God at Bethel will meet you there. One carrying 3 kids, another carrying 3 loaves of bread, and another carrying a skin of wine. And they will greet you, and will give you 2 loaves of bread, which you shall accept from their hand. After that you shall come to Jabesh Elohim, where there is a garrison of the Philistines. And there, as you come to the city, you will meet a band of prophets coming down from the high place with a harp, tambourine, flute, and lyre before them, prophesying. Then the Spirit of the Lord will come mightily upon you, and you shall prophesy with them and be turned into another man. Now when these signs meet you, do whatever your hand finds to do, for God is with you. And you shall go down before me to Gilgal, and behold, I am coming to you to offer burnt offerings and to sacrifice peace offerings. 7 days you shall wait until I come to you and show you what you shall do." When Saul turned his back to leave Samuel, God gave him another heart, and all these signs came to pass that day. When they came to Gibeah, behold, prophets met him, and the Spirit of God came mightily upon him, and he prophesied among them. And when all who knew him before saw how he prophesied with the prophets, the people said to one another, "What has come over the son of Kish? Is Saul also among the prophets?" Therefore it became a proverb, "Is Saul also among the prophets?" When Saul had finished prophesying, he went up to a high place to pray. And when he returned to his father's house, he told them nothing of what had happened, only that the donkeys had been found. I follow you, divine will, as Samuel gathered all the people of Israel together to the Lord at Mizpah. And there he said to all of Israel, "Thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, I brought you up out of Egypt, and I delivered you from the hand of the Egyptians and from the hand of all the kingdoms that were oppressing you. But you have this day rejected your God, who saves you from all your calamities and your distresses, and you have said, 'No, but set a king over us.' Now therefore present yourselves before the Lord by your tribes and by your thousands." Samuel, although he had already secretly anointed Saul king, needed to prove to all of Israel that Saul was truly the one God had chosen. So he took all the tribes of Israel and cast lots before them. The tribe of Benjamin was taken by lot. So he brought the tribe of Benjamin near by families, and the family of the Matrites was taken by lot. Finally he brought the family of the Matrites near man by man, and Saul, the son of Kish, was taken by lot. But when they sought him, he could not be found. So they inquired again of the Lord, who told them, "Behold, he has hidden himself among the baggage." Then they ran and fetched him from there, and when he stood among the people, he was taller than any of the people from his shoulders upward. And Samuel said to all the people, "Do you see him whom the Lord has chosen? There is none like him among all the people." So the people shouted, "Long live the king!" Though there were some men among them who grumbled about Saul being chosen. I want to repair before you, most holy Trinity, for all souls past, present, and future who have been reluctant to accept your great plans for their life because they focus too much on their own inadequacy, by offering you the fiat mihi of our Blessed Mother, who never anticipated that she would be chosen to be the mother of the Messiah, yet did not hesitate to accept your generosity with immense gratitude and confidence in you. I want to offer you my own fiat mihi in response to you calling me to such great heights of living in your divine will, and to be enlisted in your celestial militia to make heaven reign in all the earth. When I am tempted to shrink in the face of your blessings because I feel my own inadequacy, I will instead echo the Magnificat of the little Mary, preparing before you for all false humility, past, present, and future, and pouring upon souls the grace and the courage to accept your generosity with gratitude and love. My soul proclaims the greatness of the Lord. My spirit rejoices in God my Savior, for he has looked with favor on his lowly servant. From this day all generations will call me blessed. The Almighty has done great things for me, and holy is his name. He has mercy on those who fear him in every generation. He has shown the strength of his arm. He has scattered the proud in their conceit. He has cast down the mighty from their thrones and has lifted up the lowly. He has filled the hungry with good things, and the rich he has sent away empty. He has come to the help of his servant Israel, for he has remembered his promise of mercy, the promise he made to our fathers, to Abraham and his children forever. One day, Nahash, the king of the Ammonites, besieged Jabesh-Gilead, and the Israelites, frightened, begged the king to make a treaty with them. He responded that he would make a treaty, but only if they would allow him to gouge out all their right eyes, thus putting disgrace on the people of Israel. Defenseless, the men there begged him for 7 days to send out messengers to all of Israel, and if none came to defend them, they would indeed give themselves into the king's hands, and he could gouge out each of their right eyes. This request the king granted. Now, Saul was plowing his fields when the messengers came to Gibeah, and when he heard what had happened, the Spirit of God came mightily upon Saul, and his anger was greatly kindled. He took a yoke of oxen and cut them in pieces, and sent them throughout all the territory of Israel by the hand of messengers, saying, "Whoever does not come out after Saul and Samuel, so shall it be done to his oxen." Thus the dread of the Lord fell upon the people, and they came out as one man. When the messengers came and told the men of Jabesh, they were glad, and they went to the king of the Ammonites, deceiving him, saying, "Tomorrow we will give ourselves up to you, and you may do to us whatever you want." The next day Saul put the people in 3 companies, and they came into the midst of the camp in the morning watch, and cut down the Ammonites until the heat of the day. And those who survived were scattered, so that no 2 of them were left together. Then the people said to Samuel, "Who is it that grumbled and said, 'Shall Saul reign over us?' Bring the men, that we may have them put to death." But Saul said, "Not a man shall be put to death this day, for today the Lord has wrought deliverance in Israel." I glorify you, Most High God, as Samuel said to all the people, "Come, let us go to Gilgal, and there renew the kingdom." So all the people went to Gilgal, and there they made Saul king before the Lord. They sacrificed peace offerings and rejoiced greatly. But Samuel rebuked the people for their stubborn and worldly desire for a king, when God had set them apart as a nation and appointed judges and prophets to be their leaders. He warns the people that if they and their king do not obey the commands of the Lord, then it will not go well for them. He then calls down a thunderstorm in their presence as a sign that their rebellion against the Lord in insisting on a king was evil. When the thunder and lightning came, the people feared greatly the Lord and Samuel, and begged him to intercede for them so that they would not die. I glorify your mercy, Most Holy Trinity. In the words of peace Samuel spoke to the people and to Saul, saying, "Fear not. You have done all this evil, yet do not turn aside from following the Lord, but serve the Lord with all your heart. And do not turn aside after vain things which cannot profit or save, for they are vain. The Lord will not cast away his people for his great name's sake, because it has pleased the Lord to make you a people for himself. Moreover, as for me, far be it from me that I should sin against the Lord by ceasing to pray for you, and I will instruct you in the good and the right way. Only fear the Lord and serve him faithfully with all your heart, for consider what great things he has done for you. But if you still do wickedly, you shall be swept away, both you and your king." Sovereign ruler of the universe, I keep you company in the moment when Saul, while in the middle of officiating a battle against the Philistines, disobeys your law out of desperation for victory. Instead of waiting for Samuel the high priest to arrive and offer sacrifice to you, Lord, Saul takes the matter into his own hands and offers illicit sacrifice to you. When Samuel arrived and saw what Saul had done, he prophesied against him, saying, "You have done foolishly. You have not kept the commandment of the Lord your God which he commanded you. For now the Lord would have established your kingdom over Israel forever, but now your kingdom shall not continue. The Lord has sought out a man after his own heart, and the Lord has appointed him to be prince over his people, because you have not kept what the Lord commanded you." Then Samuel left him. Now, during these times, the army had no swords, because the Philistines had enforced a monopoly on the land of Israel, banning all blacksmiths so that no proper weapons could be made. So, the Israelite army had only farm tools to fight with. Saul and his son Jonathan were the only ones in possession of swords. I compassionate you, most holy Trinity, for the corruption of Saul, by offering you the fragrant life of his son Jonathan, who trusts in you. One day during battle, Jonathan snuck away from his father and from the rest of the army as they rested on the outskirts of Gibeah, saying to his armor-bearer, "Come, let us go over to the garrison of these uncircumcised. It may be that the Lord will work for us, for nothing can hinder the Lord from saving by many or by few. Behold, we will cross over to the men, and we will show ourselves to them. If they say to us, 'Wait until we come to you,' then we will stand still in our place. But if they say, 'Come up to us,' then we will go up. For the Lord has given them into our hand, and this shall be the sign to us." So both of them showed themselves to the garrison of the Philistines, and the Philistines said, "Look, Hebrews are coming out of the holes from which they hid themselves." And they hailed Jonathan and his armor-bearer, saying, "Come up to us, and we will show you something." So Jonathan said to his armor-bearer, "Come up after me, for the Lord has given them into the hand of Israel." So Jonathan and his armor-bearer made a slaughter of about 20 men and threw the whole camp into a panic. When the watchmen of Saul beheld the tumult occurring in the camp of the Philistines, they numbered their men and found that Jonathan and his armor-bearer had left. So Saul sent for the Ark of the Covenant to be brought in, and for a priest to pray and seek counsel, as was customary in battle. But as the tumult increased more and more, and the priest gave Saul no immediate answer, Saul interrupted the prayer with his own decision on the matter, and set all of his army to join in the fight. I glorify your mercy, Lord, as you, despite Saul's self-reliance, still give the Philistines into the hands of Israel and deliver your people. But the people of Israel were distressed, for it was still daylight, and Saul had laid an oath on the people, saying, "Cursed be the man who eats food until it is evening, and I am avenged on my enemies." So the army moved on from the camp to continue making conquests. When they came to a forest, they found honey dripping there, though no man put his hand to his mouth, for the people feared the oath. But Jonathan had not heard his father charge the people with the oath. So he put forth the tip of the staff that was in his hand, and dipped it in the honeycomb, and put his hands to his mouth. Then his eyes became bright. One of the people said, "Your father strictly charged the people with an oath, saying, 'Cursed be the man who eats food this day.'" And Jonathan said, "My father has troubled the land. See how my eyes have become bright because I tasted a little of this honey? How much better if the people had eaten freely today of the spoil of their enemies which they found, for now the slaughter among the Philistines has not been great." I compassionate you, my God, as, after the Israelite army slew the Philistines from Michmash to Aijalon, they were very faint with hunger. So, in desperation, they slew the livestock there and ate the meat raw, with the blood still in it. In following Saul's commands to eat no food until the victory at evening, they violated your divine mandate to eat nothing with blood. When Saul was told of this, he rebuked the people for disobeying God, and had a great stone brought up to him, commanding that each man would bring his ox and slay it upon the stone in front of him, without eating the meat with blood. Then Saul built an altar to the Lord. In all his years as king, it was the first altar he had built. Then Saul said, "Let us go down after the Philistines by night, and despoil them until the morning light." And they said, "Do whatever seems good to you." But the priest said, "Let us draw near to God." And Saul inquired of God, "Shall I go down after the Philistines? Will you give them into the hand of Israel?" But God did not answer Saul that day. Therefore Saul gathered all the people to inquire of them which man had sinned before the Lord that he had not answered Saul's prayer. He declared that whoever was at fault, be it even his own son, would surely die. Then he divided the camp, placing all the army on one side and he and his son on the other side. Lots were cast, and he and his son were taken. Then lots were cast between he and his son was taken. Then Saul said to Jonathan, "Tell me what you have done." And Jonathan told him, "I tasted a little honey with the tip of the staff that was in my hand. Here I am, I will die." And Saul said, "God do so to me and more also, you shall surely die, Jonathan." But the people said to Saul, "Shall Jonathan die, who has wrought this great victory in Israel? Far from it. As the Lord lives, there shall not one hair of his head fall to the ground, for he has wrought with God this day." So the people ransomed Jonathan, and he did not die. On that day Saul ceased pursuing the Philistines, and all the Philistines went to their own place. I follow you, divine will, as Samuel returns to Saul one day, saying, "The Lord sent me to anoint you king over his people Israel. Now therefore, hearken to the words of the Lord. Thus says the Lord of hosts, I will punish what Amalek did to Israel in opposing them on the way when they came up out of Egypt. Go and smite Amalek, and utterly destroy all that they have. Do not spare them, but kill both man and woman, infant and suckling, ox and sheep, camel and ass." So Saul summoned his army and charged them against the Amalekites, but he did not completely follow the command of the Lord. He did not kill King Agag, but instead kept him as a trophy to parade around his own victory. He also did not kill the livestock, but he and his troops kept the best cattle for themselves. Then the word of the Lord came to Samuel, "I repent that I have made Saul king, for he has turned back from following me and has not performed my commandments." And Samuel was angry, and he cried to the Lord all night. The next morning he rose early to meet Saul, but it was told to him. Saul came to Carmel, and behold, he set up a monument for himself, then turned and went down to Gilgal. When Samuel came to him, Saul exclaimed, "Blessed be you to the Lord, I have performed the commandment of the Lord." But Samuel said, "What then is this bleating of the sheep in my ears, and the lowing of the oxen which I hear?" Saul responded, "They have brought them from the Amalekites, for the people spared the best of the sheep and the oxen to sacrifice to the Lord your God, and the rest we have utterly destroyed." But Samuel said to Saul, "Stop. I will tell you what the Lord said to me this night. Though you are little in your own eyes, are you not the head of the tribes of Israel? The Lord anointed you king over Israel, and the Lord sent you on a mission and said, 'Go, utterly destroy the sinners, the Amalekites, and fight against them until they are consumed.' Why then did you not obey the voice of the Lord? Why did you swoop on the spoil and do what was evil in the sight of the Lord?" And Saul said to Samuel, "I have obeyed the voice of the Lord. I have gone on the mission on which the Lord sent me, but the people took of the spoil sheep and oxen, the best of the things devoted to destruction, to sacrifice to the Lord your God in Gilgal." Then Samuel said, "Has the Lord as great delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as in obeying the voice of the Lord? Behold, it is better to obey than sacrifice, and to hearken than to fat of rams, for rebellion is as the sin of divination, and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry. Because you have rejected the word of the Lord, he has also rejected you from being king." Then Saul said to Samuel, I have sinned, for I have transgressed the commandment of the Lord and your words, because I feared the people and obeyed their voice. Now therefore, I pray, pardon my sin and return with me, that I may worship the Lord. But he said, I will not return with you, for you have rejected the word of the Lord, and the Lord has rejected you from being king over Israel. As Samuel turns to go away, Saul laid hold of the skirt of his robe, and it tore. And Samuel said to him, The Lord has torn the kingdom of Israel from you this day, and has given it to a neighbor of yours, who is better than you. And also, the glory of Israel will not lie or repent, for he is not a man that he should repent. Then Saul said, I have sinned, yet honor me now before the elders of my people and before Israel, and return with me, that I may worship the Lord your God. So Samuel turned back after Saul, and Saul worshipped the Lord. Then Samuel said, Bring here to me Agag the king of the Amalekites. And Agag came to him cheerfully, saying, Surely the bitterness of death is past. But Samuel said, As your sword has made women childless, so shall your mother be childless among women. And Samuel hewed Agag in pieces before the Lord in Gilgal. Then they departed from each other, and Samuel wept bitterly over Saul. But the Lord said to Samuel, How long will you grieve over Saul, seeing I have rejected him from being king over Israel? Fill your horn with oil and go. I will send you to Jesse of Bethlehem, for I have provided for myself a king among his sons. And Samuel said, How can I go? If Saul hears it, he will kill me. The Lord said, Take a heifer with you and say, I have come to sacrifice to the Lord. Samuel did what the Lord commanded, and came to Bethlehem, and consecrated Jesse and his sons, and invited them to the sacrifice. When they came, Samuel looked upon Eliab, Jesse's oldest, and thought, Surely this is the Lord's anointed. But the Lord said to Samuel, Do not look on his appearance or on the height of his stature, because I have rejected him. For the Lord sees not as man sees. Man looks on the outward appearance, but the Lord looks on the heart. Then Jesse made each of his sons pass before Samuel. But as each one passed by, Samuel said to Jesse, The Lord has not chosen this one. Then Samuel said to Jesse, Are all your sons here? He replied, There remains yet the youngest, but behold, he is keeping the sheep. So he said, Send and fetch him, for we will not sit down till he comes here. Then Jesse sent and brought him. Now he was ruddy and had beautiful eyes and was handsome, and the Lord said, Arise, anoint him, for this is he. I glorify you, most holy Trinity, in the act in which Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed the boy in the midst of his brothers. And the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon David, and remained with him from that day forward. Now the Spirit of the Lord departed from Saul, and an evil spirit sent from the Lord tormented him. So Saul had his servants seek out a man who was skillful in playing the lyre, to soothe him from the torment the spirits caused. One of the young men told him, Behold, I have seen a son of Jesse from Bethlehem who is skillful in playing, a man of valor, a man of war, prudent in speech, and of good presence, and the Lord is with him. Therefore Saul sent messengers to Jesse and said, Send me David your son who is with the sheep. So Jesse had his son sent to Saul. Saul loved David greatly, and he became his armor-bearer. And Saul sent to Jesse, saying, Let David remain in my service, for he has found favor in my sight. And whenever the evil spirit from God was upon Saul, David took the lyre and played it with his hand. So Saul was refreshed and was well, and the evil spirit departed from him. I follow you, divine will, as the Philistines gathered their armies for battle against Israel. The Philistines were encamped on one mountain, and the Israelites on another. Then the Philistines sent out their champion Goliath to the field, who was almost 10 feet tall, to challenge Israel, shouting, Am I not a Philistine, and are you not servants of Saul? Choose a man for yourselves, and let him come down to me. If he is able to fight with me and kill me, then we will be your servants. But if I prevail against him and kill him, then you shall be our servants and serve us. I defy the ranks of Israel this day. Give me a man that we may fight together. When Saul and all Israel heard these words of the Philistine, they were dismayed and greatly afraid. So Saul put out a great reward to anyone who would fight Goliath and win. He promised that the man would be enriched with great riches, that he would give his daughter in marriage to him, and that his whole family would be exempt from taxes. Now, the 3 oldest of David's brothers had been called out to the battle to fight the Philistines, and David would go back and forth between serving Saul as a musician and tending his father's flocks. One day, when he was at home with his father told him to bring to his brothers and to the commander of the army some food, to see how they were doing, and to bring back some token from them. As David went and ministered to his brothers in the camp, behold, Goliath came out to the field again, once more defying Israel and challenging them to send out their best man to fight him. When David heard Goliath's words, he said, "What shall be done for the man who kills this Philistine and takes away the reproach from Israel? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God?" Now David's oldest brother Eliab was angry when he heard David speaking to the men, and he accused David of irresponsibility in leaving the sheep, as well as arrogance and foolish curiosity in wanting to come see the battle. But David paid no heed to his words and continued to encourage the men to trust in God. "I glorify your power, most holy Trinity, and I love you within the courage and faith of David, in the act in which he went to Saul and told him that he would fight. Within this act I poured graces over all souls past, present, and future, that they may be steadfast and unmoved because of their trust in you." Now Saul discouraged David from fighting Goliath, since he was only a youth. But David protested, saying, "Your servant used to keep sheep for his father, and when there came out a lion or a bear that took a lamb from the flock, I went after him and smote him and delivered it out of his mouth. And if he arose against me, I caught him by his beard and smote him and killed him. Your servant has killed both lions and bears, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be like one of them, seeing he has defied the armies of the living God. The Lord who delivered me from the paw of the lion and from the paw of the bear will deliver me from the hand of this Philistine." So Saul said to David, "Go, and the Lord be with you." Then he clothed David with his armor. He put a helmet of bronze on his head and clothed him with a coat of mail. But after he had put it all on, David realized that he wouldn't be able to fight with the heavy armor because he wasn't used to wearing it. So he took it all off, saying, "I'm not used to these. I can't wear them." Then he took his staff in his hand and chose 5 smooth stones from the brook and put them in his shepherd's bag. His sling was in his hand, and he drew near to Goliath, who came up with his shield-bearer in front of him. When he looked and saw Goliath, he disdained him, for he was but a youth, and he said, "Am I a dog that you come to me with sticks? Come to me, and I will give your flesh to the birds of the air and to the beasts of the field." I glorify you, my God, in the words David spoke to the Philistines, saying, "You come to me with a sword and a spear and with a javelin, but I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hand, and I will strike you down and cut off your head, and I will give the dead bodies of the host of the Philistines this day to the birds of the air and to the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel, and that all this assembly may know that the Lord saves not with sword and spear, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give you into our hand." And David put his hand in his bag and took out a stone and slung it, and struck the Philistine on his forehead. The stone sank into his forehead, and he fell on his face to the ground. So David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and with a stone. And he ran and drew Goliath's sword out of its sheath and cut off his head. When the Philistines saw that their champion was dead, they fled, and the men of Israel rose with a shout and pursued the Philistines, plundering their camp. Then David took the head of Goliath and brought it to Jerusalem, and he put his armor in his tent. From that day on, Jonathan and David developed a kinship so deep that Jonathan loved David just as he loved his own soul. He made a covenant with David, and, stripping himself of the princely robe that was upon him, he placed it upon David, and gave him his armor and sword with his bow and girdle. As they were coming home, when David returned from slaying the Philistine, the women came out of all the cities of Israel, singing and dancing, to meet King Saul, with timbrels, with songs of joy, and with instruments of music. And the women sang to one another, Saul has slain his thousands, and David his 10,000s. But Saul was very angry. This saying displeased him, and he said, They have ascribed to David 10,000s, and to me they have ascribed thousands. What more can he have but the kingdom? Thus Saul eyed David from that day on, and he would not allow him to return to his father's house. This fulfilled God's warning to the people of Israel that Samuel had spoken to him, that the king would take the sons of Israel for himself. The next morning an evil spirit rushed upon Saul, and he raved within his house, while David was playing the lyre, as he did day by day. I repair you, most holy Trinity, for all jealousy and murder past, present, and future, in the act in which Saul took the spear in his hand and thrust it at David, trying to pin him to the wall, but David evaded him twice. Then Saul removed David from his presence, and, intending to have him slain in battle, made him a commander of 1,000. But David had success in all his undertakings, for the Lord was with him. When Saul saw that he had great success, he stood in awe of him. Then, fulfilling the promise he had made that any man who slew Goliath would have his daughter's hand in marriage, he said to David, Here is my eldest daughter Merab. I will give her to you for a wife. Only be valiant for me and fight the Lord's battles. For Saul thought, Let not my hand be upon him, but let the hand of the Philistines be upon him. But David humbly declined the offer, saying, Who am I and who are my kinsfolk, that I should be son-in-law to the king? Then, at the time when Merab, Saul's daughter, should have been given to David, she was given instead to Adriel the Maholathite for a wife. Now, Saul's daughter Michal loved David. When this was told to Saul, it pleased him, for he thought, Let me give her to him, that she may be a snare for him, and that the hand of the Philistines may be against him. Therefore Saul commanded his servants, Speak to David in private, and say, Behold, the king has delight in you, and all his servants love you. Now then, become the king's son-in-law. When Saul's servants spoke these words in the ears of David, he refused once more, saying, Does it seem to you a little thing to become the king's son-in-law, seeing that I am a poor man and of no repute? When Saul's servants reported to him what David had said, Saul responded, The king desires no marriage present except 100 foreskins of the Philistines, that he may be avenged of the king's enemies. Now Saul thought to make David fall by the hand of the Philistines. When his servants told David these words, it pleased David well to be the king's son-in-law. And before the time had expired, David arose and went, along with his men, and killed 200 of the Philistines, and he brought their foreskins, which were given in full number to the king, that he might become the king's son-in-law. So Saul gave him his daughter Michal for a wife. But when Saul saw and knew that the Lord was with David, and that all Israel loved him, he was still more afraid of David, so that he was his enemy continually. Most merciful Savior Jesus,
I offer you everything that you, Joseph, and Mary suffered when you were forced to flee to Egypt under the reign of an evil king.
I offer you everything you endured in reparation for all evil leaders, past, present, and future, for all plots to kill. May graces of conversion fall upon all of their hearts, so that they may convert, be saved, and lead their subjects to you. I follow you, divine will, as Saul spoke to his son Jonathan and to all his servants, that they should kill David. But Jonathan told this to David, saying, My father seeks to kill you. Therefore take heed to yourself in the morning, stay in a secret place, and hide yourself. I will go out and stand beside my father in the field where you are, and I will speak to him about you. And if I learn anything, I will tell you. So Jonathan spoke well of David to Saul his father, and said, Let not the king sin against his servant David, because he has not sinned against you, and because his deeds have been of good service to you. For he took his life in his hand and slew the Philistine, and the Lord wrought a great victory for all Israel. You saw it and rejoiced. Why then will you sin against innocent blood by killing David without cause?" Saul hearkened to the voice of Jonathan and swore, "As the Lord lives, he shall not be put to death." Then Jonathan assured David that he could safely stand in the king's presence as before, for he had sworn that he would not kill him. Then there was a war again, and David went out and fought with the Philistines, and made a great slaughter among them, so they fled before him. But after the victory, an evil spirit came upon Saul, as he sat in his house with his spear in his hand, and David was playing the lyre. Saul sought to pin David to the wall with his spear, but David eluded Saul so that he struck the spear into the wall. Then he fled and escaped. That night Saul sent messengers to David's house to watch him, that he might kill him in the morning. But Michal, David's wife, told him, "If you do not save your life by tonight, tomorrow you will be killed." So Michal let David down through the window, and he fled away and escaped. Then she took a statue and laid it on the bed, and put a pillow of goat's hair at its head, and covered it with the clothes. When the messengers came back to Saul and told him that David was sick, he told them, "Bring him up to me in the bed, that I may kill him." So they returned to David's house, and behold, they found the statue laying in the bed with a pillow of goat's hair at its head. When Saul questioned his daughter on why she had deceived him, she responded in fear, saying that David had threatened her life, forcing her to do so. Now, as David fled and escaped, he came to Samuel at Ramah, and he told him all that Saul had done to him. But it was reported to Saul where David was, so he sent messengers to capture him. But when Saul's messengers saw the company of the prophets prophesying, and Samuel standing as head over them, the Spirit of God came upon the messengers of Saul, and they also prophesied. When this was told to Saul, he sent other messengers, but they also prophesied. So Saul sent messengers again a third time, and they also prophesied as they entered the presence of Samuel and David. After this third time, Saul himself went to Ramah, but as he arrived, the Spirit of God came upon him also, and as he went, he stripped himself of his royal robes and prophesied, and lay there naked all day and all night. Hence it is said, "Is Saul also among the prophets?" I follow you, divine will, as David confides his sorrow to Jonathan, and earnestly questions him why his father seeks his life. Jonathan assures David that he will not die, because his father tells him everything before he acts. But David fears this not to be the case, and believes Saul may soon begin to act without telling Jonathan what he is doing. So the two devise a plan to uncover the deepest motives of King Saul, and they renew the covenant that they had made with one another. Now, the next day was the new moon, and Saul was hosting a meal. David knew that Saul would be expecting him at this meal, so he told Jonathan to tell his father that David was in Bethlehem attending a sacrifice at his brother's request, and to watch for Saul's response. If Saul was content with the answer, then David would assume that he is no longer trying to kill him. But if Saul becomes angry, then he would take it to mean that his life is still in danger. So Jonathan told David that he should hide in the fields, and that after the meal he would signal to David by shooting arrows into the field and by sending his young servant after them. If he tells his servant to go and fetch the arrows, then David will know that he is safe. But if he tells his servant that the arrows are beyond him, then he will know that Saul intends to kill him and that it is unsafe to return. So the next day David does not come to Saul's banquet, but hides in the fields. During the meal, when Saul asked Jonathan where David was, and he told him that David had requested permission to go to Bethlehem and offer sacrifice, and that Jonathan had permitted it, Saul was furious and roared, "You son of a perverse, rebellious woman! Do I not know that you have chosen the son of Jesse to your own shame and to the shame of your mother's nakedness? For as long as the son of Jesse lives upon the earth, neither you nor your kingdom shall be established. Therefore send and fetch him to me, for he shall surely die." And Jonathan answered his father, "Why should he be put to death? What has he done?" But Saul cast his spear at him to smite him. So Jonathan knew that his father was determined to put David to death. And he rose from the table in fierce anger, and ate no food the 2nd day of the month, for he was grieved for David, because his father had disgraced him. In the morning Jonathan went into the fields with his young servant, as he shot arrows far off. As the lad ran to gather the arrows, Jonathan shot an arrow beyond him, and shouted after him, "Is not the arrow beyond you? Hurry, make haste, stay not." So the lad came back to his master with the arrows he had gathered, and Jonathan sent him back to the city. As soon as the lad had gone, David rose from beside the stone heap and fell on his face to the ground. He bowed 3 times, and they kissed and wept with one another, until David had composed himself. Then Jonathan said to David, "Go in peace, for as much as we have sworn both of us in the name of the Lord, saying, 'The Lord shall be between me and you, and between my descendants and your descendants forever.'" Then Jonathan rose and departed and went into the city. I follow you, divine will, as David flees for his life to a town called Nob, which is known as the City of Priests, since many Shiloh clergy had taken refuge there after the Ark of the Covenant was stolen. When he entered the town, there came to meet him Ahimelech the high priest, whose great-grandfather was Eli. Ahimelech saw that David was trembling, and he questioned him, "Why are you here all alone?" David responded, "The king has charged me with a matter, and said to me, 'Let no one know anything of the matter about which I send you and with which I have charged you. I have made an appointment with the other men of war here for such and such a place. Now then, what have you at hand? Give me 5 loaves of bread, or whatever is here.' The priest answered David that he did not have any common bread, only holy bread, which was kept before the tabernacle of presence and was consumed every week by the priests. But he agreed to make an exception as long as David and his men were ritually clean. David assured him that they were, so he was given the bread from the sanctuary to eat. David also asked if there were any weapons at hand, saying to Ahimelech, "I have brought neither sword nor weapons with me, for the king's business required haste." Ahimelech had no weapons to give David other than the sword of Goliath, which had been wrapped in a cloth and stored behind the ephod in the tabernacle at Nob. So David took in his hand once again the sword of Goliath. Then he fled from Nob, noticing that Doeg, a descendant of Esau and a loyal servant of Saul, had been there and had witnessed the whole thing. He knew that it would soon be reported to the king that he had been helped by Ahimelech. Fleeing to the land of Gath, David heard the servants of the king of the region, King Achish, saying among themselves, "Is not this David the king of the land? Did they not sing to one another of him in dances? Saul has slain his thousands, and David his 10,000s." David took these words to heart, and was much afraid of Achish. So he changed his behavior before them, and feigned himself mad in their hands. He made marks on the doors of the gate, and let his spittle run down his beard. So the king and his servants reviled him, and paid him no heed. I follow you, divine will, as David departed from there, and escaped to the cave of Adullam. And when his brothers and all his father's house heard it, they went down there to meet him. And everyone who was in distress, in debt, or discontented gathered to him, and he became captain over them. There were with him about 400 men. Then David went to Moab, and he said to the king there, "Pray, let my father and my mother stay with you till I know what God will do for me." The king allowed this, and they stayed with him all the time that David was in the cave. But then a prophet named Gad came to David and said, "Depart, and go into the land of Judah." So David departed and went into the forest of Hereth. Now, when Saul heard that David had gathered together a group of fighting men, he was sitting at Gibeah under the tamarisk tree on the height, with his spear in his hand, and all his servants were standing about him. Then he said to his servants who stood about him, "Hear now, you Benjaminites, will the son of Jesse give every one of you fields and vineyards? Will he make you all commanders of thousands and commanders of hundreds, that all of you have conspired against me? No one discloses to me when my son makes a league with the son of Jesse. None of you is sorry for me, or discloses to me that my son has stirred up my servant against me, to lie in wait, as at this day." Then Doeg the Edomite, who stood by the servants of Saul, said to him, "I saw the son of Jesse coming to Nob, to Ahimelech the high priest, and he inquired of the Lord for him, and gave him provisions, as well as the sword of Goliath the Philistine." Hearing this message, Saul, in his rage, summoned Ahimelech and all his father's house, as well as all the priests who were at Nob. When they came before him, Saul said to Ahimelech, "Why have you conspired against me, you and the son of Jesse, so that he has risen against me to lie in wait as to this day?" Ahimelech answered the king, "And who among all your servants is so faithful as David, who is the king's son-in-law and captain over your bodyguard, and honored in your house? Is today the first time that I have inquired of God for him? No, let not the king impute anything to his servant or to all the house of my father, for your servant has known nothing of all this, much or little." But the king said, "You shall surely die, Ahimelech, you and all your father's house." And he said to the guard who stood about him, "Turn and kill the priests of the Lord, because their hand also is with David, and they knew that he fled and did not disclose it to me." But the servants of the king would not put forth their hands to fall upon the priests of the Lord. So the king said to Doeg the Edomite, "You turn and fall upon the priests." And he killed on that day 85 persons who wore the linen ephod. And Nob, the city of priests, he put to the sword, both men and women, children and sucklings, oxen, asses, and sheep. But one of the sons of Ahimelech, named Abiathar, escaped and fled after David, and he told him that Saul had killed the priests of the Lord. When David heard this, he said, "I knew on that day, when Doeg the Edomite was there, that he should surely tell Saul, 'I am responsible for the death of all the persons of your father's house. Stay with me, fear not, for he that seeks my life seeks your life. With me you shall be in safe keeping.'" Now, in those days it was told to David, "Behold, the Philistines are fighting against Keilah, and are robbing the threshing floors." Therefore David inquired of the Lord if he should attack them, and God assured him that he should fight. But David's men said to David, "Behold, we are afraid here in Judah. How much more then if we go up against the armies of the Philistines?" So David inquired of the Lord again, and he answered him, "Arise, go down to Keilah, for I will give the Philistines into your hand." I glorify your power and faithfulness, my God, in the act in which David and his men made a great slaughter of the Philistines and brought away their cattle. Now, it was told to Saul that David had come to Keilah, and he said, "God has given him into my hand, for he has shut himself in by entering a town that has gates and bars." So Saul summoned all the people to war, to go down to Keilah to besiege David and his men. When David heard of this, he sought your guidance, Lord, and summoned the priest who brought him the ephod. He inquired of you if Saul would indeed come and besiege the city, and if the inhabitants of Keilah would give him into Saul's hand. You answered David that this would indeed happen if he remained in the city. So David and his men, who were now about 600, arose and departed from there, and they went wherever they could go. Now when Saul was told that David had escaped from Keilah, he gave up the expedition, and David remained in the strongholds in the wilderness, in the hill country of the wilderness of Ziph. And Saul sought him every day, but God did not give him into his hand. I glorify your mercy, Lord, as you send Jonathan to go out and comfort David, who was fearful and hiding in the wilderness. He says to him, "Fear not, for the hand of Saul my father shall not find you. You shall be king over Israel, and I shall be next to you." Saul my father also knows this. And the two of them renewed their covenant before the Lord. David remained at Horesh, and Jonathan went home. Eventually it was told to Saul by the Ziphites, who lived in the surrounding area where David was, that the fugitive was hiding in the wilderness there. And Saul said to them, "May you be blessed by the Lord, for you have had compassion on me. Go, make yet more sure, take note of all the lurking places where he hides, and come back to me with some sure information." So they arose and went to Ziph ahead of Saul. When David was told that he was being pursued, he fled to a mountain in the wilderness of Maon, and when Saul heard it, he pursued David there, so that David and his men were on one side of the mountain, and Saul and his men were on the other side. But then a messenger came to Saul, saying, "Make haste and come, for the Philistines have made a raid upon the land." So Saul ceased pursuing David and went after the Philistines. Therefore the name of that place was called the Rock of Escape. When Saul returned from following the Philistines, he was told, "Behold, David is in the wilderness of En-Gedi." So Saul took his 3,000 men in pursuit. When he came to the sheepfolds by the way, there was a cave, and Saul went in to relieve himself. Now, David and his men were sitting in the innermost parts of the cave, and the men of David said to him, "Here is the day of which the Lord said to you, Behold, I will give your enemy into your hand, and you shall do to him as it seems good to you." So David arose and stealthily cut off the skirt of Saul's robe. But after he did this, he felt a twinge of regret for disrespecting the king in this way. And David said to his men, "The Lord forbid that I should do this thing to my king, the Lord's anointed, to put forth my hand against him, seeing that he is the Lord's anointed." So David persuaded his men with these words, and did not permit them to attack Saul. And Saul rose up and left the cave and went upon his way. Afterward David also arose and went out of the cave and called after Saul, "My lord, the king!" And when Saul looked behind him, David bowed with his face to the earth, then said to Saul, "Why do you listen to the words of men who say, Behold, David seeks your hurt? Lo, this day your eyes have seen how the Lord gave you today into my hand in the cave, and some bade me to kill you, but I spared you. I said, I will not put forth my hand against my Lord, for he is the Lord's anointed. See, my father, see the skirt of your robe in my hand, for by the fact that I cut off the skirt of your robe and did not kill you, you may know and see that there is no wrong or treason in my hands. I have not sinned against you, though you hunt my life to take it. May the Lord judge between me and you. May the Lord avenge me upon you, but my hand shall not be against you. As the proverb of the ancients says, Out of the wicked comes forth wickedness, but my hand shall not be against you. After whom has the king of Israel come out? After whom do you pursue? After a dead dog? After a flea? May the Lord therefore be judge and give sentence between me and you, and see to it, and plead my cause, and deliver me from your hand." When David had finished speaking these words, Saul said, "Is this your voice, my son David?" And he lifted up his voice and wept, saying, "You are more righteous than I, for you have repaid me good, whereas I have repaid you evil. And you have declared this day how you have dealt well with me, and that you did not kill me when the Lord put me into your hands. For if a man finds his enemy, will he let him go away safe? So may the Lord reward you with good for what you have done to me this day. And now, behold, I know that you shall surely be king, and that the kingdom of Israel shall be established in your hand. Swear to me, therefore, by the Lord, that you will not cut off my descendants after me, and that you will not destroy my name out of my father's house." And David swore this to Saul. Then Saul went home, but David and his men went back up to the cave. Soon after this, the prophet Samuel died, and all Israel assembled and mourned for him. They buried him at his house in Ramah. Then David rose up and went down to the wilderness of Paran. Now there was a man in Maon whose business was in Carmel. He was very rich and had 3,000 sheep and 1,000 goats. The name of the man was Nabal, and the name of his wife Abigail. The woman was of good understanding and beautiful, but the man was churlish and ill-behaved. He was a Calebite. Now David had heard in the wilderness that Nabal was shearing his sheep. In those days, sheep shearing was a celebrated event and a traditional time of generosity. Taking advantage of this time, David sent 10 of his men to go up to Nabal in Carmel and to greet him in his name, saying, "Peace be to you, and peace be to your house, and peace be to all that you have. I hear that you are shearing your sheep. Now listen, your shepherds have been with us, and we did them no harm, and we helped them keep the sheep, so that none of them were harmed all the time that they were in Carmel. Therefore, let my young men find favor in your eyes, for we have come on a feast day. Pray, give whatever you have at hand to your servants and to your son David." When David's servants had said this to Nabal, he answered, "Who is David? Who is the son of Jesse? There are many servants nowadays who are breaking away from their masters. Shall I take my bread and my water and my meat that I have killed for my shearers, and give it to the men who come from I do not know where?" So David's young men turned away and came back and told David all of this. Then David said to his men, "Every man gird on his sword." So every man of them girded on his sword. But one of the young men told Abigail, Nabal's wife, that David and his men were coming to smite her ill-natured husband. So Abigail made haste, and took 200 loaves, 2 skins of wine, 5 sheep ready dressed, 5 measures of parched grain, 100 clusters of raisins, 200 cakes of figs, and laid them on asses. As she rode on the ass, and came under the cover of the mountain, behold, David and his men came down toward her, and she met them. Now David had said, Surely in vain have I guarded all that this fellow has in the wilderness, so that nothing was missing of all that belonged to him, and he has returned evil for good. God do so to David and more also, if by morning I leave so much as one male of all who belongs to him. But when Abigail saw David, she made haste, and alighted from the ass, and fell before David on her face. She bowed to the ground at his feet, saying, Upon me alone, my lord, be the guilt. Pray, let your handmaid speak in your ears, and hear the words of your handmaid. Let not my lord regard this ill-natured fellow, Nabal, for as his name is, so is he. Nabal is his name, and folly is with him. But I, your handmaid, did not see the young men of my lord whom you sent. Now then, my lord, as the Lord lives and as your soul lives, seeing the Lord has restrained you from blood guilt, and taking vengeance with your own hand, now let your enemies and those who seek to do you harm be as Nabal. And now let this present which your servant has brought to you be given to the young men who follow you. Pray, forgive the trespass of your handmaid, for the Lord will certainly make of you a sure house, because you are fighting the battles of the Lord, and evil shall not be found in you so long as you live. If men rise up to pursue you and take your life, the life of my Lord shall be bound in the bundle of the living in the care of the Lord your God, and the lives of your enemies he shall sling out as from a hollow of a sling. And when the Lord has done to you according to all the good that he has spoken concerning you, and has appointed you prince over Israel, my Lord shall have no cause for grief or pangs of conscience, for having shed blood without cause, or for my Lord taking vengeance himself. And when the Lord has dealt well with you, then remember your handmaid. Then David said to Abigail, Blessed be the Lord, the God of Israel, who sent you this day to meet me. Blessed be your discretion, and blessed be you, who have kept me this day from blood guilt, and from avenging myself with my own hand. For, as surely as the Lord, the God of Israel, lives, who has restrained me from hurting you, unless you had made haste and come to meet me, truly by morning there would not have been left to Nabal so much as one male. Then David received from her hand what she had brought him, and he said to her, Go up in peace to your house. See, I have hearkened to your voice, and I have granted your petition. When Abigail came to Nabal, lo, he was holding a feast in his house like the feast of a king, and his heart was merry within him, for he was very drunk. So she told him nothing at all until the morning light. But in the morning, when the wine had gone out of Nabal, his wife told him of these things, and his heart died within him, and he became a stone. About 10 days later, the Lord smote Nabal, and he died. When David heard that Nabal was dead, he said, Blessed be the Lord, who has avenged the insult I received at the hand of Nabal, and has kept back his servant from evil. The Lord has returned the evil-doing of Nabal upon his own head. Then David sent and wooed Abigail to make her his wife. And when the servants of David came to Abigail at Carmel, they said to her, David has sent us to you to take you to him as his wife. Then she arose and bowed with her face to the ground and said, Behold, your handmaid is a servant to wash the feet of the servants of my Lord. And Abigail made haste and mounted on an ass, and her 5 maidens attended her. She went after the messengers of David and became his wife. David also took Ahinoam of Jezreel, and both of them became his wives. Saul had given Michal his daughter, David's wife, to another man, and all her life she remained childless. I follow you, divine will, as the Ziphites came again to Saul and informed him of the whereabouts of David. So Saul took 3,000 men to seek him in the wilderness. When David saw the men, he sent out spies who confirmed to him that it was Saul and his men who had come. So David took his nephew Abishai to go with him to the place where Saul lay. As they approached Saul, sleeping, with his spear stuck in the ground by his head, Abishai said to David, God has given your enemy into your hand this day. Now therefore, let me pin him to the earth with one stroke of the spear, and I will not strike him twice. But David said to his nephew, "Do not destroy him, for who can put forth his hand against the Lord's anointed and be guiltless? But now, take the spear that is at his head and the jar of water, and let us go." So David took the spear and the jar of water from Saul's head, and they went away. No man saw it or knew it, nor did any awake, for they were all asleep, because a deep sleep from the Lord had fallen upon them. Then David went over to the other side and stood afar off on the top of the mountain, with a great space between them, and he called out to the army and to Abner, Saul's cousin, and the commander-in-chief of his army, saying, "Will you not answer, Abner?" Then Abner answered, "Who are you that calls to the king?" And David said to Abner, "Are you not a man? Who is like you in Israel? Why then have you not kept watch over your lord the king? For one of the people came in to destroy the king. This thing that you have done is not good. As the Lord lives, you deserve to die, because you have not kept watch over the Lord's anointed. And now see where the king's spear is, and the jar of water that was at his head." Saul recognized David's voice and said, "Is this your voice, my son David?" And David said, "It is my voice, my lord, O king. Why does my lord pursue after his servant? For what have I done? What guilt is on my hands? If it is the Lord who has stirred you up against me, may he accept an offering. But if it is men, may they be cursed before the Lord, for they have driven me out this day, that I should have no share in the heritage of the Lord, saying, 'Go, serve other gods.' Now therefore, let not my blood fall to the earth away from the presence of the Lord, for the king of Israel has come out to seek my life, like one who hunts a partridge in the mountains." And Saul said, "I have done wrong. Return, my son David, for I will no more do you harm. Because my life was precious in your eyes this day, behold, I have played the fool and have erred exceedingly." And David made answer, "Here is the spear, O king. Let one of the young men come over and fetch it. The Lord rewards every man for his righteousness and his faithfulness. For the Lord gave you into my hands today, and I would not put forth my hand against the Lord's anointed. Behold, as your life was precious this day in my sight, so may my life be precious in the sight of the Lord, and may he deliver me out of all tribulation." Then Saul said to David, "Blessed be you, my son David. You will do many things and will succeed in them." So David went his way, and Saul returned to his place. After Saul returned to his home, David thought it best to flee to the land of the Philistines and take refuge there, so that Saul might despair of pursuing him. So David took his wives and his 600 men to the region of Gath, and sought refuge there with King Achish, the same king before whom he had pretended to be insane. Now David was allowed to take refuge with the king because of his great rapport in battle. The king thought it would be advantageous to make an alliance with him. During David's time in Ziklag, he and his men would kill the neighboring tribes and plunder their possessions. When the king would ask him who he raided, David would lie and tell him that he had raided tribes of Israel. Because of this, the king was further assured that David would always be allied with him, since he had utterly turned against his own countrymen. So, in those days, as the Philistines were gathering men for war against Israel, the king told David that he and his men would join in the attack on Israel. David agreed, and was thus rendered the king's bodyguard for life. I compassionate you, most holy Trinity, in the act in which Saul witnessed the army of the Philistines assembling for battle. Afraid of their great number, he appealed to you, Lord, for guidance, but when you did not answer his prayer, he turned away from you and committed the grave sin of consulting a medium. He sent his servants outside the city gates to find one, since mediums were banished from the land under the law of Moses. When a woman from Endor was found, Saul went out under disguise and came to her by night. He commanded her to summon the spirit of Samuel, so she did. But, in doing so, the secret identity of King Saul was revealed to her, and she feared greatly for her life, since it was a crime in Israel to practice witchcraft. But the king assured her that her life would be spared. He urged her to continue, so she did, and she told Saul what she saw, saying, "I see a god coming up out of the earth, an old man, and he is wrapped in a robe." Saul knew that it was Samuel, so he bowed with his face to the ground. And Samuel said to Saul, "Why have you disturbed me by bringing me up?" Saul answered, I am in great distress, for the Philistines are warring against me, and God has turned away from me and answers me no more, either by prophets or by dreams. Therefore I have summoned you to tell me what I shall do." Samuel said, "Why then do you ask me, since the Lord has turned from you and become your enemy? The Lord has done to you as he spoke by me, for the Lord has torn the kingdom out of your hand and given it to your neighbor David. Because you did not obey the voice of the Lord and did not carry out his fierce wrath against Amalek. Therefore the Lord has done this thing to you today. Moreover, the Lord will give Israel also with you into the hand of the Philistines, and tomorrow you and your sons shall be with me. The Lord will give the army of Israel also into the hand of the Philistines." At this, Saul fell at once, full length upon the ground. He was filled with fear because of the words of Samuel, and there was no strength in him, for he had eaten nothing all day and all night. Then the woman came to Saul, and she tried to give him some bread to eat, but he refused. Now the woman had a fattened calf in the house, and she quickly killed it, and took the flour and kneaded it, and baked unleavened bread of it, and she put it before Saul and his servants, and they ate. Then they rose and went away that night. I follow you, divine will, as the Philistines prepare for battle. But the commanders of the Philistine army say to King Achish, "Who are these Israelites among us? And is this not David, the servant of Saul, of whom they sing, 'Saul has slain his thousands and David his 10,000s?'" And they pressed the king to send David and his men away, for fear that he would betray them in battle. So King Achish, in order to appease the commanders of his army, reluctantly sent David and his men back to their homes in Ziklag. Now, when David and his men returned to their home, they found it besieged by the Amalekites, who had burned it with fire and had taken captive all the women and children. David and his men raised their voices and wept until they had no more strength to weep, and the people talked about stoning David because of their great bitterness of soul. Most Holy Trinity, I love you in the act in which David strengthened himself in you. He sent for the priest who brought him the ephod, and David inquired of you, saying, "Shall I pursue after this band? Shall I overtake them?" You answered, "Pursue, for you shall surely overtake and shall surely rescue." So David and his 600 men set out on the rescue, but as they came to a brook, 200 men were too exhausted to cross it and stayed behind. So David went on with his 400 men. Along the way, some of the men found an Egyptian in the open country and brought him to David, and they gave him food and water. When he had eaten, his spirit revived, for he had not eaten or drunk water for 3 days and 3 nights. And David said to him, "To whom do you belong, and where are you from?" He said, "I am a young man of Egypt, servant to an Amalekite, and my master left me behind because I fell sick 3 days ago. We had made a raid upon a few cities, and we burned Ziklag with fire." David said to him, "Will you take me down to this band?" He replied, "Swear to me by God that you will not kill me or deliver me into the hands of my master, and I will take you down to this band." So the young man took David and his 400 men down to where the Amalekites were. They were spread abroad over the whole land, eating and drinking and dancing, because of the great spoil they had taken from the land of the Philistines and from the land of Judah. Then, as they were making their hearts merry, David smote them. He smote them from twilight until the evening of the next day, and not a man of them escaped, except 400 young men, who had mounted camels and fled. So David recovered all that the Amalekites had taken, and rescued his 2 wives. Nothing was missing, whether small or great, sons or daughters, spoil or anything that had been taken. He also captured all the flocks and herds, and the people drove those cattle before him and said, "This is David's spoil." After this, David and his 400 men came to meet the 200 men who had been too exhausted to follow. And all the wicked and base fellows among the men who had gone with David said, "Because they did not go with us, we will not give them any of the spoil which we have recovered, except that each man may lead away his wife and children and depart." I glorify your generosity, my God, in the act in which David said to the people, "You shall not do so, my brothers. With what the Lord has given us, he has preserved us and given into our hand the band that came against us. Who would listen to you in this matter? For as his share is who goes down into the battle, so shall his share be who stays by the baggage. They shall share alike. And from that day forward he made it a statute and an ordinance for Israel to this day. When David came to Ziklag, he sent part of the spoil to his friends, the elders of Judah, saying, "Here is a present for you from the spoil of the enemies of the Lord." And he had the spoil sent to all the places where he and his men had roamed. I follow you, divine will, as the Philistines fought against Israel and overtook them, and slew Saul's 3 sons, Abinadab, Melchishua, and Jonathan. The battle pressed hard upon Saul, and the archers found him, and he was badly wounded by the arrows. So Saul said to his armor-bearer, "Draw your sword and thrust me through with it, lest these uncircumcised come and thrust me through and make sport of me." But his armor-bearer would not, for he feared greatly. Therefore Saul took his own sword and fell upon it. And when his armor-bearer saw that Saul was dead, he also fell upon his sword and died with him. Thus Saul died, and his 3 sons and his armor-bearer, and all his men on the same day together. And when the men of Israel who were on the other side of the valley, and those beyond the Jordan, saw that the men of Israel had fled, and that Saul and his sons were dead, they forsook their cities and fled, and the Philistines came and dwelt in them. The next day, when the Philistines came to strip the slain, they found Saul and his 3 sons fallen on Mount Gilboa. They cut off his head and stripped off his armor, and sent messengers throughout the land of the Philistines to carry the good news to their idols and to the people. They put Saul's armor in the temple of Ashtaroth, and they fastened his body to the wall of Bethshan. But when the inhabitants of Jabesh-Gilead heard what the Philistines had done to Saul, all the valiant men arose and went all night, and took the body of Saul and the bodies of his sons from the wall of Bethshan, and they came to Jabesh and burnt them there. Then they took their bones and buried them under the tamarisk tree in Jabesh, and they fasted for 7 days. Most merciful Savior Jesus, I enter into this act of the Israelites fasting for 7 days after the death of Saul and his sons, and I want to unite the sacrifice of their fasting, the sacrifice of their sorrow, of their mourning, with the sacrifice of Jesus on the cross, and with everything that he suffered during his life. And I want to pour these sufferings and this love of your heart, Jesus, over the heart of Saul and all men and women like him, past, present, and future, who have ever died in a state of pride. I pour these sufferings and these reparations from your heart, Jesus, over their souls so that they may have a conversion even in the very last instant of their life. For the sake of everything you suffered in your passion, Jesus, may these souls be given the grace to convert in their last moments and come to love and worship you for all eternity in the kingdom of heaven. In the divine will, I multiply myself near each and every soul as they're breathing their last breath, and I pray these words with infinite trust in your mercy, Lord. O blood and water which gushed forth from the heart of Jesus is a fount of mercy for us. I trust in you. O blood and water which gushed forth from the heart of Jesus is a fount of mercy for us. I trust in you. O blood and water which gushed forth from the heart of Jesus is a fount of mercy for us. I trust in you. Into your hands, Lord, I commend my spirit. Fiat.